Welcome, everybody. The president at Espacio Unpublicized, and here today we are with Peter Kovacs. Let me tell you a bit about Peter Kovacs. You don't know who he is, but Peter, it's CEO and co-founder of X Labs, co-founder and head of friendship at the Global Startup Awards, and of course, co-founder and CEO of the Central European Startup Awards, as well as the Southern African Startup Awards and the Nordic Startup Awards. With us as well, he is the ICQ co-founder and board member, and you can find this on LinkedIn if you are able to get an actual invite from him. But Peter, thank you so much for making the time, and thank you so much for being with us. I think, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to read your description on LinkedIn because I think it's amazing. It really portrays exactly what you do. And it says this, guys, for everybody listening. My ultimate goal is to strongly participate in the creation of a better integrated and globally interconnected startup ecosystem. It's amazing because when I met you, the first thing I realized, and the first time we met was, where did we meet for the first time?
That's a very tough question. I think it was Sophia, yes, because we got introduced. I don't even remember by whom, but I think first I talked to Conrad, your co-founder. I was introduced to him.
And then Craig made the introduction, I think.
Yes, I think. And I met Craig in Cologne, in Germany at Pirate Summit. Yes, right. That's how it started. Yes, indeed.
And this is fantastic because it really just shows like how big of a networker you are. And a lot of people have not realized yet how big of a skill that is, and also how big of a focus that should be for different, ecosystem, for different startups and for different. So we are here today to talk about a white paper / report that you guys have built on the startup ecosystem for the CEE region, so for the Central and Eastern European region. But I wanted to, once again, thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time to connect and show what you guys are doing to the world.
Yeah, also thanks for the opportunity, of course. And, it also shows your network and your outreach that we actually bumped into each other. So yeah, now we both like each other a lot.
That's great. So tell me a little bit more about the report. When did you guys release it? How long did it take you guys to make this report?
Well, it took much longer than we expected it would, to be honest. Let me tell you a little bit about the background, why we started doing this. So the whole competition that you're running called Global Startup Awards, and all the regions, one of them is Central European Startup Awards. My co-founder his name is Kim Balla. He's from Denmark. And when we met each other many, many years ago, we found out that we both were coming from two relatively small countries, surrounded by other small countries, and we didn't know anything about the startup ecosystems of our neighbors. We knew these countries as tourists, but that's all. And we really felt that it was like 7 years ago, really felt that it was not good like that. We wanted to do something, that could bring people together. And that was one of the main motivator for us, or to start the whole competition. We were partially inspired by Eurovision contest, don't laugh. Eurovision contest was actually playing a crucial role in reconnecting Europe after the Second World War, culturally. And it was a great inspiration for us because, of course, we were planning to do the same for the innovative tech startup ecosystems, but still we thought that a competition could be the right way to achieve something. So we started organizing these competitions, and this is not a pitching contest for startup. This is more like an Oscar Award kind of competition, where we don't only have categories for startups, but also for investors, co-working offices, acceleration programs, and so on. And when we started, every year we decided that we would have the regional grand finales in different countries within the respective region. And in the beginning, these regional grand finales were only about an award ceremony and an after party. And we had this idea roughly like 2 years ago that we should add something more to that. And we should also have something that makes the best out of the fact that we're bringing all these bright minds and people together at one place. And again, the goal was and is still to connect them. So we thought that, if we bring all these people into a room literally, or maybe 2 rooms, and we define them different practically tasks to work on, like throughout workshops and panels and one-on-one discussions. And then we could help them get to know each other, because if they have to think together, then they will obviously get to know each other better. But we also help them create something, right? We bring them together, they think together about problems and what is going on with this and that. So we really felt that this is something we should somehow, give back to the community. And we also have the competition itself, which attracts thousands of individuals and companies in each region, and we have a lot of data from that. So we just wanted to give it a try, and that's what we have now in the format of a kind of white paper or report, that we collected all these people. They all came together, and they all were thinking about situations, about the startup ecosystems in the region, and we put it into this format that we call a white paper. And now we give it back to the community in the region or even outside the region free of charge, because we believe it's super important.
So and that's great context. When you were now thinking that you were going to do it, you said it was much harder. But what was so hard about it, and what did it take for those that are included in the report? I mean, in terms of startups, investors, like what did they need to do to be included into that report? How did you go about doing it?
Well, we have never done anything like that before. And first challenge, who can do that job? I mean, we didn't even know what we could expect. And first we hired some people, and we thought that those people would just do the magic, and out of sudden, after we just put them into a room, and then we close the door, and then we open it 2 months later, and it's gonna be there. So it turned out it's not like that. And it took us actually quite a long time to find the right people to work with the right motivation, with the right background. First thing that was really challenging is that we had a lot of data, like complete mess, like data from the competition, data, lots of notes, like made by hands, and like drawings and videos and all that thing. And it was just a mess. I mean, how can you put it into something that looks like a report? So it took us actually quite a lot of time to find actually those 2 guys, and it actually happened accidentally, finally, how we found them, who became excited about this challenge. And they said, yes, this is something we would love to work on. And then, still we had to spend time explaining them and lots of questions. And, also we didn't know what we exactly wanted to have out of it. I envisioned a beautiful crafted document that it's fun to read, gives a lot of information, but still fun to read, as I said. And that was my first idea about that. And then they started working on it, and then they came back to us in a few months with something that was still not something I was dreaming about, right? It was still just a raw material that was not funny enough at all. But I had to, then we had some more meetings, and I realized that the problem was not with what they did, but the problem was my expectations. So then I realized that, okay, we need to add another layer to that. And again, completely accidentally, an old friend connected me to someone who he believes I should meet. And then, oftentimes I don't even have time to meet everyone, but I had a good feeling about that guy. I don't even know why. It was just, gut feeling. And then I met him. I didn't even know why I wanted to meet him. And then we started talking, and it turned out that this guy was actually traveling all around the world, lived at different places, and he's writing a book at the moment. And he has been into startup ecosystems from Japan to Germany. And then out of sudden, like the bulb lightened up, and I just that question, any chances you would like to do this for us? And he said no. I said, why? And he said, yeah, I'm just too busy. And then fortunately we managed to find the collaboration point, and then he started working on it. And then we needed some more time, of course, another month or so. And then he came back to us with something that I really liked. And I told him from the beginning, as I already highlighted during the conversation, that I want to have something that each page sells the next one, which is, again, fun to read, not a boring report from a consultancy firm kind of thing. And I really liked his style, and then we had to add another layer, which was the design, of course, which took another month or something. So if you add all those things up, and of course we had quite a few other things to do at the same time, so it just took much longer than we expected for all these reasons.
And but it was finished finally. And
Yes.
when was it released? And I guess my question would be, people should go to the report, read it, and look for different sections. But I bet there are some sections that you're super proud of. What are some of the key takeaways that you can share with us? And when was the report released? Can we go right now and download it? How would that work?
Yeah, definitely. Finally we released the report on the 24th of October. And the night before, I was personally writing the terms and conditions thing, which is, we are in Europe, so GDPR is all above us. And also we had to figure out how to distribute it in a way that we can measure, how many people downloaded it practically. And we, during a night, we put together the so-called distribution system for that. And then on the 24th in the morning at 8 o'clock, it was out. And it was we still didn't have really time to start promoting it. We only shared it in our own social media platform, and not even the official channels yet. We really just start promoting it now. And we are lucky, because this is really not something that has a due date, or it's not gonna just over validated in a week or something. So to reflect to your question, which part I'm the most proud of, I'm just proud of the fact that it's there, and it's already, a lot of people I respect already read it, and they all spoke really highly about it. That's what I'm the most proud of, that we could really create something that we believe fills a significant gap on the market. Because there are some reports about the so-called V4 countries, which are Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, and I believe Czech Republic, which is a smaller scale in the region. And there are also reports over the region made by big consultancy firms, but they don't have access to the startup ecosystem as much as we do. So we have way much more data and a way much more personal relationships, out there. And we could, I believe we really did something that hasn't existed yet. And I truly believe that actually people out there who are curious about what is going on in Eastern Europe, that we call Central Europe, I call it the Eastern European frustration, by the way. But let's find the middle way: Central and Eastern Europe. That's the politically correct way, CEE, which covers actually Poland, Czech Republic, or as now it's called Czechia, Slovakia, Austria, Hungary, Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia, Romania, and Bulgaria. And we really finally can show something on the regional scale. What the heck is going on in this region? What are the key factors? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What is going to the right direction? What is not? And because most people usually hear only news from TV about this region, and even if someone is digging a bit deeper, we'll mostly find information about countries, but not the regional context. And that's what I'm the most proud of, that we really created something that changed that now.
Okay, so what the heck is going on in the region? What's happening?
Well, we We have actually a lot of cool people around here, and those people can be defined as talents and workforce. And the access to talent here is still actually better than in Western Europe. And however, prices are going higher and higher really quickly, but still it's cheap. It's much cheaper than Northern Europe or Western Europe or even South Europe. And 9 out of these 10 countries are a part of the European Union. And I'm not sure even how many of them, but more than five, I would say 5, 6, 7 of them are a part of the Schengen zone, which means that we have no borders anymore towards the Western or the Nordic or the Southern part of Europe, the rest of Europe. And that also means that we really have the chance here to transfer knowledge, no borders anymore, right? And if someone from here wants to build something, because these are relatively small countries. I mean, the largest country in this region is Poland, with roughly a bit less than 40 million people. And Romania is the second largest. I believe it's around 15 to 20 million, but I might be wrong, but it's around that size. And all the rest are like 10 or less. And these countries are simply not big enough and also not economically developed enough to give big enough markets for companies with big dreams. So people from this region are forced to think global, and I mean, everyone has prejudgments about and everything practically, and the same stands for, practically we are Soviet Union still, right? and but meanwhile, in the last 20, 30 years, a completely new generation grew up, and this generation still has, some heritages, also good and bad. One of the bad things is that we are still not self-confident enough. We still don't have that much experience how to do business, but we are pretty good at natural sciences. And one of the advantages, as I already mentioned, is that we are still more affordable than others. But what I really like to emphasize every time when I'm asked about that is we, by history, managed to learn how to build castles from nothing. How can you do things without money? We are pretty good at that. And that skill is quite useful actually in this startup thing that that we are talking about. And of course, in the last 20, 30 years, a lot of people from outside of the region started coming over here and started discovering this region. And also a lot of people left and some came back. So there is actually a transition, which is also driven by people, bringing energies and knowledge into this region from outside of the region. And that all comes out as a really powerful craziness practically, which is going on here. And we started learning things that we were not good at, but we still don't have enough money, right? So we still could keep those elements. And we also highlighted actually that we actually have now access to money, but it's not as much as in the Silicon Valley or any of these big hubs out there. So an angel investment means completely different numbers here than in Western Europe. Of course, it's lower amounts. But at the same time, we can also just travel and meet investors in other regions as well. So this region has been going through a crazy transition, and it's ongoing, and the new generations are leaving behind all these disadvantages that even my generation, grew up with.
And this is great because part of and I guess part of the whole like experience within the ecosystem is that as more people are moving around, are doing startups or getting finance, and the ecosystem itself needs to become much more interconnected. And that's what surprised me the most when I went to Sofia, and then when I went to Budapest to meet you. I was like, it's amazing to see everyone from the region be so interconnected that it brings a different meaning to networking events, and that's a lot of what you guys have been doing. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you guys have been doing with these events? How do you think it helps the ecosystem, and how do you help it helps us as entrepreneurs like me coming from South America with an American company with an American co-founder going to Europe and understanding what's going on there when others are not even looking? Like how important is that for the network, and specifically what you're doing and what you think you're going to be doing in 2019?
Yeah, so people in this region are not cannot be really fooled anymore by empty people just being Americans with shiny teeth coming over, right? That was in the 90s.
Right.
And like, wow, from America, and then whatever you want. Those days are over. But still, people respect a lot if someone comes here from such a like a distant location, and like one of the advantages actually for I don't know, even Latin Americans is that in this region there's no how do you say that properly in English? So there's no prejudgment in a negative way. So if you come from Colombia, that's cool. If you come from Colombia, it's as cool as if you were coming from London.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, people here respect a lot if you show interest towards the local gastronomy or people, language, whatever. And that still gives a huge advantage for people coming from outside of the region. But at the same time, as I said, if you don't have anything to say, if you just want to bush it around, we're gonna smell that very quickly now, because we are getting there to have our sensors for that, right? But still, people here are much more humble, generally speaking, than in most countries that are way much more developed than these countries here. But I believe that was just one question I answered. But what was the other question?
The other question is regarding the events and the network. I believe the ecosystem is growing, so there will be more events, and I believe you guys are leading the way on those.
Yeah. I mean, we are absolutely not the only ones organizing events, and there are amazing events all across the region. And I like to look at the meetup culture, where not only about this region but wherever I go, because that shows a lot about the maturity of an ecosystem. Like when we started doing things, there were like a few meetups a month, maybe 2, 3, 4, something like that. Now there are 2, 3, 4 meetups a day in a relatively small city, right? And that shows a lot about, and now, it started like really developing into different directions, and there are subcategories of things, not just startup, but also a lot of those. Okay, even if you talk about more concrete things like, I don't know, fintech, for example, there is not only fintech events, but there are even more subcategories around that now, and you can find what you are looking for sharply. And that shows a lot about how much the whole ecosystem developed over here. And of course, there are still differences in between the countries. There are slightly more developed ecosystems and less developed ecosystems, and there are smaller cities and bigger cities. And it's also important to see that in this region, it's only Poland and Romania that are big enough not to mean only one city. So if you talk about Hungary, it's Budapest. If you talk about Slovenia, it's Ljubljana. If you talk about Croatia, it's Zagreb, and full stop. But if you talk about Poland, then it's not only Warsaw, but it's also Krakow, it's also Dansk, and the 3 cities in the north, and there are different hubs inside of the country, and they're also competing with each other, which is always healthy. So coming back to the events, I think we are getting over the stage when events themselves are just exciting enough. Now there is a big competition out there, and you really have to bring something extra. You have to give an added value. You cannot sell banners anymore for sponsors, right? So that we are over that. Those that times, are over. Now you have to give something. You have to start selling services, even as a conference. You have to really differentiate yourself on the market, and I think that's really good and that's really healthy.
And what's if I'm an investor, I'm an entrepreneur looking at this from different regions of the world, what events should I be planning on attending next year? And from this report, I guess what is the biggest opportunity you're seeing? I'm trying to think of the two questions. How can I get involved in the network in 2019? How can I get involved in the CEE? Like, I read the report and I'm like, I see amazing opportunity. How do I get involved? And number two, what is that opportunity that you personally see?
Yeah, we found it really important that this report is really neutral. So we are really not promoting anyone, and we are not trying to give advantages to some players over others. So we are not recommending events in the report. We just really want to give facts and show numbers and show like real takeaways, to give real takeaways for people with this report. I have a strange suggestion. If you want to figure out which events you should visit, just use Google, and the ones that you find, check social media, and the ones you find, those are the ones you should consider. It's also it's a competition again, and if someone cannot reach you, will not deserve you. That's my philosophy, at least. I really don't. Of course, I could talk about the events we organize, but I really don't want to do that, because I just don't want to be selfish using this opportunity. There are amazing events out there that are not organized by us, and it's easy to find them. So if you just start Googling different keywords with names of countries or cities in the region, you will find really cool things.
Okay, I know you want to be neutral, but there must be something that you would recommend. There must be something that, after reading the report would get my attention, in terms of, hey, Eddie, there is more on blockchain than there was before. There is more on health. There is more on this, and in terms of like where the money is going. Are there any takeaways in that regard that someone like me be thinking about?
Yeah, the region is quite generic, so I couldn't really mention any vertical that is like highlighted. Everything is around, and that's also the disadvantage of these countries, that we don't specialize ourselves to something. So we are not the best in biotech in the world. We are not the best in IoT. None of them and all of them at the same time. So there is everything, but there are no clear specific specializations out there, and therefore it's really hard to just pick one thing and recommend that one thing. What I would suggest is that just reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer concrete questions, because generic questions are very hard to answer. But if someone comes to me and, hey, Peter, I love the report, that's the first thing I expect, to hear. No,
first is to like it. Yes.
Yeah, yes. And I think I would love to meet some people in I don't know, in Bucharest that are doing amazing IoT innovations. Then I can help, and I can make a few introductions, and I can give recommendations. I'm happy to do that, and I promise I'll be neutral. I'm not gonna favor my friends, right? Not as what politicians do. But I'm gonna really look into the people, the companies I know, and I'm gonna, based on my best knowledge, I'm gonna make some suggestions. I'm happy to do that. But generally speaking, it's really hard to pick one topic or one vertical or one conference, because really there are a lot of things. Just this year, for example, just to give you something more concrete, still without picking on something, prop tech, property technologies. Like that's a new thing. I just learned the words actually the beginning of the year. that was quite new to me. And of course, once I learned the word and I started Googling it, I of course have found initiatives around that, conferences around that in more developed ecosystems like in London or wherever. But we are just a few years behind, or not even a few years, maybe a year behind with that. Of course, those are the leading ecosystems in the world, and they are behind. Not, I mean, in front of the not that developed one, just like we are. But everything is moving so fast that it is just really a few months or a year, which is the delay we have over here.
Right, right. Peter, we're coming to an end here, but I think for those who are listening or looking into this, watching this, I guess the first thing for me is to thank you. But you're a super connector, and I think it will be very valuable to those who are listening or viewing this to hear from you. Maybe one or two tips that you say, hey, it seems so easy. It seems so common sense to just like find your name on LinkedIn and try to find your email and connect with you. What is that thing that you would say makes you really good at connecting with people and making these amazing things happen, like events and reports and building ecosystems and all of that in different areas, because you're building ecosystems in Africa, in Asia, soon in Latin America, and it requires that kind of like secret and magic, but I also know it's a lot of common sense from you. Could you share a bit of that knowledge and wisdom?
I just haven't managed to grow up. I'm naive, and I mean, there's one quotation I that always comes up in my mind, and I learned that I didn't know it was impossible, so I just did it, and it's really like that. I mean, I managed to get rid of my fears for one simple reason. I realized that life is limited, and I know it sounds corny and it's been quoted by so many people, but I actually every day remind myself about that. I'm just not that important, and if I don't really manage to achieve something in life, then in just 2 generations, no one will ever remember I have ever existed. So I really don't have anything to lose. And then I found out that what I'm really good at is remembering things that are not important to most of the people. I remember stories of people because I'm interested in people. And there's another thing that is one of my biggest like drives in life, that we all know that in a few billion years the sun will just grow so big that it's gonna just burn up the whole solar system. So we have 2 billion years, or maybe it's 4, but it doesn't matter. We have 2 or 4 billion years or even less to figure out how to fix the sun or leave the solar system, because going to Mars is not going to be an alternative, right? It's in the solar system as well. And any of these directions could be only achieved by technology development. That's the only chance we have as humanity to survive. And of course, we even have shorter term problems like global warming and pollution and everything. Also, technology is the thing that can deliver solutions. And if you think about the fact that just like 15, 20 years ago, as an individual, if you wanted to be the part of any technology innovation, you had to join a large corporation, a big company, to have access to computers and computing power and just gadgets and everything. And now today you get all that for almost free. It's affordable to anyone. And today, thanks to internet and thanks to all the technologies that that surround us, we as individuals can have an impact. And if we really use it for the good, then we have the chance to do something that matters. And to be honest, that's my main motivation. I don't think too much about myself. It's not me alone, and me alone is nothing. But if what I'm good at making friends, actually. And I was even awarded to be the friendliest guy in university. and which meant nothing back to me, of course. But that's my superpower. And I'm not good at mathematics. I'm not good at software development. So I cannot contribute with those things. But I can find and connect people. And if these people can meet each other, and as individuals, as small companies, they can team up and they can work together, then we can make the world a better place. We can save the world. We can save humanity in the long run. And that's my personal motivation. And since as I explained, I don't really have fears anymore, because I'm just gonna die anyway. So I have maybe 20, 30 years that I can really actively do something. So I just have to do something. And I find crazy people like you, Eddie, thinking the same. And we just team up and we try to do something, and that's it. I don't overcomplicate things. I try to simplify things, and I don't want to go into complicated solutions. Oh, just let's act and connect and do something. So simple like that.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter, for your wisdom. I think that the invitation right now for everybody viewing or listening is check the description for the link where you can download the report on the CEE region. Great work done by Peter Kovacs and an amazing team. Of course, once again, co-founder and head of friendships at the Global Startup Awards. I want to end with that one. Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon in Europe or Colombia. Come. You're invited, man.
It's gonna happen. Ciao. Thanks a lot, Eddie. Thank you. Bye.
We don't have to hang up. It's just for the recording. But anyway, dude, thank you so much.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's the first time I do it. So you just took my virginity.
Nice.
I think you should connect me with more people in the region, man. I want to do this more for. I'm gonna talk to Thomas to see if I can get also him to make some comments and So we should get people, even people that are partnering with you, even the startups. I'm thinking of looking at whoever made the finals and see if I see the winners and add it to the article.
Yes, but we are going to introduce you to all the winners, as you know. That's
I could do this with all of them. Yeah. I think I can do this because I could do probably one interview a day and we get it done.
That's enough. Even if you do one interview a week. That's fine,
it will be amazing.
And then I can start introducing you to the national winners. There are more than 100 of them, so you can easily pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna start looking at the ones who already responded to our email. I know Puzzle responded, so I'll get to them. But dude, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's win.
Win. Big win. All right, man.
But I have to confess something before you leave. So Rita is pregnant, and my wife, she's pregnant, which is pretty much killing our plans of traveling a little bit.
Yeah.
So but Kim is planning to travel to Colombia. Actually, it's gonna be kind of honeymoon. But I told him that in entrepreneur life, you cannot separate honeymoon from business. So you should definitely meet, first of all. And secondly, I still hopefully have the chance, if everything is right with the pregnancy, that I can fly to Miami in February. Because I'm invited to, next year. Next year, February 2019. Because I'm going to be speaking, I'm invited to speak at Miami Startup Safari. And maybe we could meet there, actually, because it's not far for you.
If it's Miami, I can do it. I have to check because I have a conference in Pakistan, and I think it's February too. But I'll check the dates because I could just stop by Miami before.
It's 14th and 15th, actually. It's 14th and 15th of February. But if you want to come, you can also be a speaker there. You can be easily a speaker. I can make you a speaker there easily.
Yeah. Let me check the dates for Pakistan because I could just travel there before I go to Pakistan, depending on the dates. But we should definitely meet up, man. We should.
Of course. Yes, let's make it happen. And Safari is coming again in Budapest, which is 18th to 19th of April.
April, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should
put it on my calendar.
Okay.
Peter, thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much.
Talk to you.
Let's speak soon.
Always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Ciao.
Bye.